Hello dear students, welcome back. In our last lesson we studied past tenses, past progressive, past simple, past perfect and past perfect progressive. But let's review shortly, briefly, and then we will study all of our past tenses all together. We have started with past simple and past progressive. They both tells us the actions that occurred in the past, but the difference between them is this one in past progressive, we're talking about an active that happens for a while. Let's say this is now, and in past simple, we said that, yes, it also happened in the past, but it was a short action in the past. This is the difference between them. Short action and long action. And here we have, as grammatical structure, verb to. After our subject pronoun, doesn't matter which subjects we're using, we always get verb to in our affirmative sentences. And if we're talking about negative, we said that we use didn't plus verb 1. And if we're talking about question form of past simple, we take did in the beginning and then our subject and verb 1. Meanwhile, in past progressive, we talked about was verb past form of be and verb ing after our subject pronouns. It depends on which subject we are using in the sentence. For example, if the subject of the sentence is I or he, she, or it, we use was. And with you, we, they, we use verb. And we have talked about we don't use past progressive on its own very often because it doesn't make sense if someone is not asking you or want to know what were you doing in a particular time in the past. Other than that, we use it to describe two actions that were happening at the same time, or one of them interrupted each other. So we're talking about two actions that were happening similarly at the same time. And when we want to give that meaning, we use when and while. These conjunctions combine our past simple and past progressive sentences. We said after when we use past simple, the short action, and after while we use past progressive. What does it mean? We have two sentences combined here using our conjunction, and if I use when here, the order of the sentences doesn't matter, but let's say that in this one we use when. Then I have to use past simple in this one. And we cannot use when and while in the same sentence. You have to pick one, and it will be enough to give the meaning that they happened almost at the same time or they interrupted each other. If I want to use while to combine these two sentences, I will use past progressive with while. Let's give some examples, then move on. While I was studying for my finals, my phone rang. So as you can see, in this sentence, we used while. And after that, our tense is past progressive. You can see the was and verb ing form here. And in the second sentence, you see a past simple one. So what do we understand from here is that I was studying for my finals and the phone rang and it interrupted the long action. Long action was interrupted by the short one. We have also studied this in B1 level, also in our last lesson. So I'm pretty sure that you know this subject very well. We also used as in the meaning of while, or we have talked about as soon as and immediately. These ones represents quick actions. So which we can understand refers to our short actions which are past simple. For example, as soon as the plane landed to the ground, I called my mom. These actions happened right after each other. So here you can see the plane landed, and here I called my mom. So these two conjunctions represent quick actions that happened in the past. We have also talked about past perfect and past perfect progressive. These two, as meaning, express the same thing. They are past of the past. Because we have done this also in our last lesson. Here is past simple. But when we're talking about past perfect, it's happened before past simple. And in here, again, this one is the short action. This one here is the long one that happened before past simple. Here, our sentence rule is after our subject, we use had and verb 3, and in here, had, been, verb ing. While we are comparing the actions according to which one happened first or the last, or the latter, the other one, we often use before, after, by the time, very often. Before, I had breakfast. I had 1 cup of coffee. So in here, also this is a rule that you probably remember. After before, we use verb to. After the conjunction after, we use had verb 3 or had been verb ing. So in this example, in here somewhere, I had breakfast. And before that, I had coffee. You may ask, why did we use had twice? The reason is, first had is this, and the second had is the verb 3 form of have, our main verb. This is the auxiliary verb here. After I had eaten my dessert, I drank tea. In this one, I had eaten desserts here, and here I drank tea. We have also, again, as I said, we're briefly reviewing the past tenses that we have studied so far. Also, in our last lesson, we talked about was or were going to, which is, we said, the past form, verb to form of be going to, which we use in the future, in future tense. But in here, we're talking about something that we have planned in the past for the future, but it did not happen. Something that we planned in the past for the future, but it didn't happen. For example, I was going to call you, but I forgot. This was my plan. In the past, here, I planned that I was going to call you. I planned it here, and let's say this is the future for this time, but I didn't do it, and we're here now, so it didn't occur, and we say that it is the past future. For example, they were going to go to Italy, but they couldn't get visa. It was their plan, but it didn't happen because they didn't get the visa. Now we have would, which is the past form of will. I would do that if I remembered it. You must be familiar with this conditional with this type because we have studied in if clauses. And it means that I would again, but I didn't. If that was a chance, I would buy that house. Or if I won the lottery, I would help the orphans. But we're talking about something that has really low potential, around 20%. So it's almost close to impossibility. Then we have used to. With this phrase, you will see a lot. It represents past habits. What does it mean? Something that we always did in the past, but we don't do it anymore. We can understand the conclusion of this sentence if it's built with used to. For example, she used to smoke. I can understand from this sentence that she doesn't smoke in the present. Or I used to walk to my work, and I can understand from this sentence is that I don't walk anymore to my work. We used to celebrate New Year's Eve every year. And I can understand from this sentence that we don't celebrate it anymore. This is an easy phrase, but it is really helpful for you to understand the conclusion of the sentence. Now, let's do some examples. First, let me write these down. For example, could, would, used to, was, were, going to. What else we have seen so far? Verb to form and was, were, ing form. Had verb 3 or had been verb ing. Now, why did I write these down as all of the past tenses? Because in English we have such thing as time harmony or tense harmony, whatever you want to call it. In a sentence where we use conjunction, with conjunction, we have to use the tenses that belong to the same time. And what I mean by time is, for example, these structures are belong to past simple. And if I am going to use a conjunction, for example, when, by the time, after, before, like that, I have to use similar or tenses that belong to the same time, time expression. So let's do a chart. Now, in past, we have studied simple past, past progressive, used to, would, was, were, going to, and past perfect and progressive. These tenses are in harmony with themselves because they all belong to the past. In present, we have simple present, present progressive, present perfect. This may come as a shock to you, present perfect, but it belongs to the present family. Present perfect progressive, and we also have a future family, which also belongs to the present. We can do a harmony between present and future tenses. They can be used in the same sentence, even if there is a conjunction. We have studied future simple in B1, planned future, which refers to be going to, and present progressive. Now we have some tenses that we haven't studied yet, but we will. And they are future perfect, future perfect progressive, and future progressive, future simple progressive. Now, this is a key point in B2 because in B2 you will mostly start combining two sentences, better sentences. So, it is important for you to learn. As I said, we combine present and future together, these families, but past can be used only on its own. So, we have studied past so far. We have seen everything about past tenses. And our next tense is present perfect / present perfect progressive, but we will come to that. Where do we use present perfect? The most important thing to start with. Because we don't have this tense, we don't have this time in Turkish, and it can be confusing for the students to learn. But if you understand the logic of it, why do we use it, when do we use it, then it will be pretty easy for you. First, we are talking about actions that happened in the past, but influences today with its effects. This is the first rule that we must understand. Second one, our experiences. Someone's experiences. And you may say that it is pretty similar to past simple, but actually it's not. Because what we're doing here is we don't know the time, exact time when the action happened. Time is unknown. And we don't have to use a time expression. And this tense, present perfect, all of the perfects have their own time expressions, such as since, for, so far, ever, never, lately, and recently. But we mostly use these two when we're making a sentence using present perfect progressive. I will mark this one. And let's briefly compare past simple and present perfect. They both happened in the past, but in here, most of the time expression is necessary. And the time expression is definite. Such as here, time expression is not necessary, and even when we use it, time expression doesn't express a certain time. And the time expressions are completely different in these two. For example, we say in 2000, last year, yesterday. You have a certain time in here, while here we have since, for, already, just, yet, so far, ever, never. And even even if there's a time expression, it doesn't tell us exactly when the action happened. With present perfect, our grammar structure is have, has, and verb 3. Which is verb 3, how do we do it? If it's regular, we only add ed or d to the verb. If it is irregular, we use verb 3 form. For example, run, ran, run. We're talking about here. Eat, ate, eaten. Or catch, caught, caught. You have to memorize these irregular verbs. I will talk about them in the next slide, but let's study for this for now. I have broken my leg. The action of me breaking my leg happened in the past, but you can see that, you can see its effects in the present. It can be still broken, it can be still healing, but you can definitely see its effect now. Or I have been to France twice. In my life, I have been to France twice. So we're talking about an experience in this sentence. Let's give some examples to verb 3 forms of irregular verbs, and then we will continue with the examples. For example, the most common one was, be, was, were, and been. Have, had, had. Think, thought, thoughts. Or swim, swam, swam. Steal, stole, stolen. Sink, sank, sunk. We also have, these are pretty similar, sing, sang, sung, or understand, understood, and the verb 3 form is also understood. Take, took, taken. Teach, taught, taught. Learn becomes learned. We have also build, built, and the verb 3 form is also built. Let's talk about the time expressions of present perfect. Let's start with already. This time expression is only used in affirmative sentences in present perfect. I have already done my homework. Here you can see it comes right after have or has. It comes between have, has, and verb 3. And the placement is really important. And the meaning it gives to the sentence is the action is already completed. It was completed. She has already eaten 3 hamburgers. We use this one in positive sentences, and the placement is important. We also have just. It is also used only in affirmative sentences in present perfect, and it has the same place as already. I have just finished reading this book. Here you can see the place and the meaning that it gives the sentence is that it happened recently, just now. You can understand this from this time expression. We have just come home. So you can understand that we have recently, very recently, come home. We also have yet. This one is different from the others because we just use this one in negative sentences or question forms. I haven't completed my assignment yet. The placement of this time expression is also different from the others alongside the meaning. It comes at the end of the sentence. And the meaning we can understand is that I will, but I didn't do it yet. It's not completed yet. Also, we said that it can be used in question forms in present perfect. And it makes the question a negative one. I can answer like, no, I haven't called him yet. Or I can say, yes, I have already called him. I have already done the action that you're asking me. We also have ever, never. For example, have you ever been to Alaska before? It represents an experience. Did you do it? We're asking. I can answer in two ways. Yes, I have been to Alaska a few times. Or I can say, no, I have never been to Alaska. Now you can see here, our verb in the sentence is not negative because never on its own gives the negative meaning to the sentence. We also have so far and once, twice, 3 times, or a few times, or multiple times. How many cups of coffee have you drunk so far? It means till now. I can say, I have drunk 3 cups of coffee so far. She should have been here by now. This is also mixed with the models we have studied, but this also gives the meaning of so far in the sentence. Or let's say, I have been to Morocco multiple times so far. We will also study present perfect progressive, but for now, this is it, and I hope you understood and enjoyed our lesson. Hope to see you on our next lesson. Take care of yourselves.